Hello, hello. Welcome, filmmakers. Let us know who you are, where you're watching from in the chat box. My name is Kayla Marie Coates. I am the producer, production coordinator for Blackmagic Collective. We are a collective of film and TV artists and crew. We have events, career advancement, diversity initiatives, classes, workshops, everything and anything you can think of on the business and the craft of filmmaking. We also have a newsletter that comes out every single month with everything we have to offer every single month, and like maybe sometimes a month after, to show everybody kind of what I think. I paused for a second. I hope my Wi-Fi isn't the best. Sorry, guys. Anyway, as I was saying, we also have a film festival every single year that is ramping up. We are going to be doing that in November. That is going to be November, I believe, 10th and 11th. 10th, we have the screening. The 11th is our luncheon for the awards and all of that jazz. And the deadline for that is October 1st. So get your film submitted. Our film festival is now 20 minutes or less for all narrative films. The films have to be narrative. BMC members, which membership is free, they get a discount code, making the submission $5. $5 is very, very minimal. So keep an eye out for that code in our newsletter. And if you haven't gotten the newsletter and you are a member, go ahead and email us at info@blackmagiccollective.com so that you can get that discount code. And we will make sure that you are a member. And then thank you to our sponsors, Blackmagic Design and Sigma Lens, for supporting us all year long and allowing us to make our events, initiatives, film festival, and giveaways happen all year long. Remember, try to put your questions in the box so that we can pop them up and have our panelists and our awesome new Austin chapter moderator, our chapter lead, answer them throughout the chat and throughout the event. So for this special navigating film festivals and how to make the most of your experience, this event, we have a very special guest because we partnered with Austin Film Festival this year and created a new award. So make sure to tune into that, those Austin locals. That is at the end of October, beginning of November is their festival. So I'm going to bring up our new Austin chapter lead, Stephen DeBose. Alrighty, and he will introduce himself. Hello, Stephen.
Hello, Kayla. Hey, everybody out there.
I totally like popping in and out for that intro.
No, it's fine. I think it seemed to work pretty well on my end. I saw everything.
Right.
Maybe
That's great.
pause for a second or two here.
Cool. All right, go ahead.
Let's
Introduce yourself, and then we'll get to introducing our guests. You can take it away.
All right, thank you. I am Stephen DeBose. I am a writer and producer here in Austin, Texas. And I formerly the director of the script competition at the Austin Film Festival, which we all know and love. And I'm here as the Austin chapter lead for Blackmagic Collective, and I am ready to talk on navigating film festivals with a very talented and diverse group of festival veterans. And I'd love to bring them on board. What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce everybody's name and let them give us a little bio about themselves. So we're going to have Lulu, Valencia, John Broadway, and Andy Volk. And so Lulu, why don't you start us off with just a quick brief background on who you are?
Hi, everyone. My name is Lulu Valencia. I'm a writer, producer, and director. And I'm excited to be part of the panel. Thank you so much for bringing me on. And I also have been at the Austin Film Festival with Stephen. It's amazing. I'm excited to, hear everyone's questions and share everyone our experiences to collectively help each other.
Love it. Andy, what about you?
Hey everybody, I'm Andy Volk. I'm the lead film programmer over at Austin Film Festival, and things are really shaping up over here. Where our festival happens at the end of next month, and I've also worked at Seattle International Film Festival, and am a writer director myself. So excited to be here with all you and chat, and I'm an open book, so ask away.
Love it. All right. And John, whose his video may be in and out, but I'm going to let John Broadway introduce himself.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, I guess my camera's not working today. Sorry about that, but I'm here and happy to be here. I am a writer, producer, actor living in LA. I'm very passionate about social justice, and so that's influenced me to found a production company where we focus on creating films, events, and social justice campaigns that merge art and activism. So yeah, happy to be sharing all that I've learned through my film festival experience with all y'all.
Love it. All right. Well, then let's get started. What you guys want to just give me an idea for some of the festivals that you've gone to, some of your favorite festivals that you've been in, and what your first time was like when you first started going to film festivals. We'll start with kicking to Andy first.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, my first festival technically was Seattle International Film Festival when I worked in the programming department there 5 years ago. It's certainly, some festivals are very, very big. Some are very small. At this time, SIF was 25 days. Now, not all festivals are 25 days. A lot range from, 3 days to 5, or even like in our case, 8 days. So it can be kind of overwhelming when you first walk in and you see all these people running around with badges and people are trying to get from venue to venue. And so it can feel overwhelming, but that's where you can kind of like walk into that space and just also absorb it. Because if you're there, then that means you got there because your film made it in and they want you there. So kind of take that in, and once you kind of put yourself in that moment and accept it, then it can be such an incredible time. And it's going to be, crazy to not be sleeping as much, be watching a lot of movies, might be over caffeinated. You're going to be having a lot of conversations with 25 different people all at the same time, but it's so exhilarating. And once I had that experience at SIF, it kind of changes how you view films and filmmaking. And it really is just kind of an amazing community to be part of. And then you'll meet those people at the next festival and at the next festival. And so you build this community with all these people who become your friends, and some might become collaborators as well. And so it's a really great opportunity, not just to showcase your film, but learn about what other people are making and how they're making their movies. And because we're all in the same boat here, we're all learning from each other. And, I think just, if you haven't been to a festival, just once you go, just let yourself enjoy that moment.
That's a really good point. What about you, Lulu? Your first festival, then how was it like? Or festivals you've been to?
I've been to, let's see, the first one was in Atlanta. It was during the Atlanta Film Festival, and it was through Screencraft Summit. That's where I met Steven, I met John. And the beauty about places like this, it could, just like Andy mentioned, it can be overwhelming because there's thousands and thousands of filmmakers and writers. But it's through events, workshops, you get to start meeting people. And you really just, it's not like, hey, what can you do for me? It's more like, hey, want to hang out. John and I met in Atlanta, and I met him there. Just talking in the hallway about like, hey, want to catch the Braves game. The next day I walk into the pitch set to go pitch my film. John ends up being one of the judges. So that's like the beauty of it, because you're really just talking to people and like, hey, I'm like, he goes, how was the game? I'm like, it was great, but we missed you, or I missed him because I went alone. So that was the beauty of it. Now we stayed connected. John, and then we also met Steven in Atlanta, and everybody was talking about, you have to go to the Austin Film Festival. As a writer, that's the writers. Almost every panelist talked about Austin. So then it was really neat because I already had built a relationship, friendship with John. So we all ended up going to Austin, and I see Steven. We end up hanging out there. And another one, and it's just, word of mouth. I just, about 2 weeks ago, I'm in Los Angeles. I went to the City of Angels Women's Film Festival, another amazing event in person because, pandemic put things on hold. But it was also a great place to see other people that I have met before. I ended up, one of my shorts did win Best Comedy, but it was awesome to be in person. It's like, oh my gosh. And, because I had submitted to online film festivals before. So it's amazing because it is a really good place to network, to make friends. And that's how I'm connected with Steven and John, was Atlanta, through Austin, and then Los Angeles, and we become friends.
Absolutely. How about you, John?
Yeah. So yeah, like Lulu said, well, yeah, the Screencraft Summit and Atlanta Film Festival was also my first like real, I guess, film festival experience. Um, it's also where I met Lulu and Steven. Um, and my experience was one of really coming to understand how important it is to be like intentional about placing yourself um, around like people who are doing what you want to do, people who are like-minded, people who um, have like knowledge to offer you, um, people that you connect and build with. Because the way I got connected to the festival was I was a script reader for Coverfly, and they offered us the opportunity to be a judge for their pitch competition. But we had to pay the flight and we had to pay for a hotel booking. Um, and so it's still like a hefty cost to make it all the way out there from LA. But I think my thought in this moment was like, this is an opportunity that like I just can't um, miss because of whatever can happen. And I'm really happy that I can say that I got exactly what I was looking for out of that experience, because I think I guess the opportunity that was there was generative, if I can say, right? Because from going there, I met Steven, right? Who, through you got me the opportunity to work as a script reader for Austin. And then I would have never been to Austin Film Festival if it wasn't for that. And then through Austin, I've met, I have like 2 or 3 mentors that I've met from Austin. I've met people who are like my friends, like Lulu, like Trey, who's also in our little writing group, and me and Lulu, and people who are going to be future collaborators and have already collaborated with me. And so, yeah, I guess just some of my first film festival experiences, one of like really being able to understand and capitalize on like the opportunity that exists in connecting with others.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I think actually I'm glad you made that because filmmakers, not a lot of us are going to be rich. We're not a lot of us are going to have a lot of money. So picking the right film festival for you or the right conference for you, I think a lot of times can be really crucial to in making the decision. Like, we're all going to have to come out of pocket, to fly out there, hotel, transportation and everything. And so then it's a matter of balancing, like weighing whether or not it's worth it to you. And I found that typically it is, as long as you make the most of your time while you're there, which is again why we're doing this this event, so you can at least feel like it was worth it, in one way, shape, or form. And I found that oftentimes when people are intentional with what they do when they're on the ground, that's usually when people come out of it feeling like they did get something, they did get their value out of the effort and the time, the days off of work and everything else that they've taken to go out there, right? And so with that said, let's start off with what a typical day one is for you guys when you get to a festival. What do you all do when you first arrive? Do you go immediately go to registration? Do you catch up with friends? Are you going to pick up swag first? Because I know at AFF, the swag booth starts to run out of product quick because it's really, really popular, So a lot of people go straight there after they get the registration. So what is like a day one for you guys when you get to when you touch down on your festivals? Well, I'll kick it to Andy. You look like you're ready.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, just getting situated. Finding your compass and like the center of where everything is happening. Definitely registration. Get your badge. Get your program guide. Get any type of they might have some sponsorships and partnerships with restaurants nearby. So like that's great because then you can sneak from one theater to the next and get that discount on that burger joint nearby. Because it's easy to forget to eat when you're watching a bunch of movies and running from party to party. And also hydrate. Coffee, great, but it's not quite hydrational. So yeah, get all your registration materials. Ask any questions that you think you might want to ask later on. Where's this venue? What are the parties happening tonight? What are the networking events? Are there speakers? Where's that happening? Because that's how you can also orient yourself with what you want to do, and that's how you can plan out your agenda. Now, also, I don't think I've ever been to a festival where my planned agenda is exactly what I did, because you're going to be meeting people who are like, oh, you got to go see this movie, or oh my God, the surprise speaker is this person from HBO, so you got to go see that. So it is a lot of going with the flow, but that's a lot easier to do when you know where everything is, what everything is, and how to get there. So I think that that's really crucial too, because also wherever registration is probably the center of the festival, and that's where everybody's going to be congregating. That's where you're going to be meeting all the people. You're going to be in line with people, so strike up conversation there. Ask them about their films. Ask them when it's playing. Follow each other on Instagram. That's like the new business card. So that's my first thing, is just know where things are and how to get around the festival, and then once you do that, you can definitely make the most out of it.
Yeah, definitely. I like that. How about you, Lulu? What's your day one at any given festival?
Well, I think, to be honest, the very first time I was at a film festival, I was overwhelmed. And it's intimidating. You walk in and there's groups talking, and I think the number one thing is really seeing the schedule. Just as Andy had mentioned, you look at the schedule, you look at what screenings you want to go to, which panels you want to attend, and then also you want to just walk and manifest it and walk in faith. I say that because when I was in Atlanta, a friend sent me an article like, hey, you're going to Atlanta. Maybe you'll meet like the Aru brothers who bought the Tyler Perry Studios. And Ozzy was the president for Tyler. And of course, I was just like, oh, there's no way. They're Hollywood. I'm going to go to writers' panels. So I was already blocking those blessings. First day in Atlanta, I walk in, I meet two writers who became my friends. And I say that I smile because my friend who I met day one, his movie is a big movie now, and that's going to be in pre-production soon. Based on that relationship, it was just friendship. Hey guys, go to Netflix. Netflix is that way. I met this guy. He's an agent. He's looking for people. We would just share the information. It wasn't about like, oh, it's about helping each other out. Netflix is over there. There's WB. Go talk to him. I have this agent. We would share information. We build a friendship. And now my buddy, we start, I think, pre-production later this year. And I'm going to be a part of the team. But again, it was by just going out there and meeting people and not being afraid, because and I say, don't be afraid, because it is intimidating. You manifest it, you walk like, hey, I'm amazing. We ended up, right when I walked in to answer Steven's question, we walked in, we looked at this thing, and I saw opening night party for Atlanta. Oh, we're going here. Oh, but we can't, we're going. Aru Brothers, we're going to go here. And my friend was like, this and that. And I just said, we don't walk in fear, we walk in faith. We show up at, the Aru Brothers, and that was Tyler's old studio before he bought the big one. We walk in, we have our like lanyards from the Atlanta Film Festival from Atlanta. And we're like, hi, we had no tickets. We're just trying to crash a Hollywood party. And we did. They opened up the gate and we were just like, oh my gosh, we're here. Can you believe we're here? But it was amazing because it was just like, no, we're worth it. Like, we are screenwriters. We are talented. We're going to go there. And it was a big venue. And we were just like the screenwriter. We ended up meeting Ozzy. Very sweet guy, because we just walked in there and he's like, we met him. But it was an amazing story of, we're just like, we're going to go for it. We're not, I'm from Los Angeles. I told my buddies, you guys are from Atlanta. I'm not going to be able to get this opportunity. But it was just amazing. Like, don't be afraid. Go for it. Don't second guess yourself, because you know what? At the end of it, they may have other projects, but we're all the same. They started in our place. And just remember that. And it was just like, oh, I don't want to, no, don't let go of fear. Take advantage of every opportunity. You'll meet great people, amazing people. And from there, you build friendship. So maximize your time at these film festivals.
Love it. Yeah, I love that. How about you, John?
Yeah, I've heard that story before, and I love hearing it even now. Again, so inspiring, Lulu. I just wish I was there. I don't know how I missed that. Oh, we hadn't met yet. That's why. Yeah. So first day, what does it look like? I think, well, based off of my last experience in Austin, the first day, my main thing is to network, and to meet as many people as possible, and also to do so with like intention, right? To be very clear on like the type of creators I want to meet, like what kind of like values they have and personality and all that. And I think, yeah, my first day, I'm really just hitting the ground running at the usually they have like a networking mixer or party or something, right? Where a lot of people go, and I'm just trying to figure out like who's gonna be kind of part of like my tribe, as I say, right? Last time when I was in Austin, I met like two other filmmakers who we just instantly hit it off, and we ended up basically spending the whole festival together, and like also like creating this whole like film tribe that was hanging out throughout the festival. And we have this group chat that we created that we still somewhat active in almost a year later. We still share updates and like support each other's projects, and just keep people updated on what's going on. So that's part of my first day thing is like, all right, I have a vision and goal in mind of the people I'm trying to create with, or connect with. Let me just go out right now and find them and continue to build with them throughout the festival.
So that's perfect. Actually, that leads into my next topic here, which is networking, right? Naturally, festivals, conferences, networking is going to be a heavy, it's going to be, if not the primary reason you're there, it's a heavy component, right? So, and anecdotally, I personally have met so many of my closest friends now and collaborators from festivals, networking. I've met the woman that gave me my first writing gig at one of the parties. At the Driscoll bar, I met a guy. I actually wasn't even in the mood to talk to anybody. And this guy came up and just sat down and started talking to me. Fast forward, it turns out he was one of the directors with the film there. We ended up spending the rest of that week, that the entire festival, hanging out. Like, I was giving him kind of tours of Austin and different places, like in the downtime in between the festival. He's one of my closest friends now. Anytime I go to LA, he always he pays me back and does the same type of treatment, takes me where I need to go. He helps me out. Like, he's a brother now, right? And I wasn't even in the mood to talk to anybody. Like, I was just kind of in a funk at the time. And a lot of my other like friends, collaborators, people, I'm in a writers group now. I met all of them through various networking opportunities that were there at AFF and at Screencraft as well. And so, like John touched on, this is definitely where you're going to find your tribe, right? So what are the preferred ways to network for you guys? Do you prefer parties? Do you prefer hanging out? Like, everybody knows that AFF, the Driscoll bar, is the place where you just chill, vibe, and people watch, people come to you, so there's that too. Are you in the lobby kind of watching people walk by and waiting to bump into folks? What is your preferred way to network, and why should you network? And we'll start with John this time.
Yeah. I gotta keep it 100, man. They call it a festival for a reason, man. It's a big party. So, I like hitting the parties. I like wetting my whistle a little bit and having a good time. And so that's typically where I go. But I'm also, I also am intentional about going to panels and like workshops, whatever, where there is a panelist that I want to connect with or learn from, and like follow up with. And so that's like, I would say panels are a good way to meet people as well too. I also like to, like, when I'm in the panel, like, people watch as well, like see who's really interested, who's really vibing, like who asks good questions, and hear what they have to say just about themselves, and as they introduce themselves in their question, because oftentimes you can just pick up on I guess a big commonality, or just something that you have in common with this person that really might be a hint that there's someone that you should like try to establish a relationship with, and follow up with. And they're pretty easy to just catch outside once the panel's over. Just like, hey, I really appreciate your question, or like, hey man, you got a really cool shirt. What's that about? Tell me more. So yeah, parties, panels, workshops, and really just like paying attention to the vibe of people to see like what common interests and values are between us that I can use to start a conversation and build on.
Love it. Yeah. How about you, Lulu?
I kind of go with what John does. I look at the panels and see what I'm interested in. Sometimes, like, I think it was at Austin, you had like the Game of Thrones showrunners who were there. You had Mr. Leroy, also his film screened at Austin. So you look at panels that you're interested in. But I will go up to someone, because remember, you're there already. You're there to make the best of it. And I just also want to meet like the filmmakers who are there. And I will ask them like, hey, are you on Instagram? Hey, what movie I want to go support? So it really starts like connecting with people and like, hey, I want to support you. May I see your film? Things like that, because it's always, like even with me as a filmmaker, it's always like, I'm always thankful when someone wants to see my film. Hey, can you send me a link? Because filmmaking is not easy. It's challenging. And so when someone is actually someone who you don't know yet is generally interested, it kind of speaks of their character. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. What's your email? And I usually, one thing that I do is once I get a business card, I will send an email right away. Hey, Lulu from this film festival. That way we stay connected. And that's what I usually do. I go to panels. I'll go up to people who I don't know. One thing that I have worked on, and Stephen helped me with it, in Austin at the Driscoll Bar, I want to talk to Al Rodriguez, and he's also a filmmaker. One of his animation series was on Netflix, and I saw I was at his panel, but there's always a line. So once it's finished, try to be the first one there, and so Stephen helped me out, like just go there. And when the directors are there drinking or eating, they're pretty much, you can go up to them. Like you could go up like, excuse me, can I do a quick intro? And it's, and it's always amazing when they give you like a phone number and email. And don't be afraid, because remember, like everyone has been in different places in life. And, us with filmmakers, we're going to be there with, bigger projects. But yeah, just talk to people, attend social events. It may seem boring, but it's not. Like you go, I met people from Stage 32 there. They hosted a party, but it was great just to be honestly around many creatives. It was amazing. And from there you build relationships.
Yeah. Very good point. Andy, what about you? How would you go about your networking?
Yeah. Networking can definitely be tough. It is something you do have to like step outside your comfort zone. And it's easy when you hear film festival, you hear networking when you're in school and business cards, and you think networking with a capital N. Just kind of try and talk yourself away from that, because like Lulu and John said, it can be so easy actually. As if you just take a moment to breathe, introduce yourself, ask them some questions, just have a conversation. It doesn't have to necessarily be, hey, can you buy my film? Can you watch my film? It's not necessarily like, that's not how you want to start it out. So you do want to just kind of get to know them too, a little bit on a personal level. And it can happen at any moment in time, really, at a festival. I was at Nifty this past year, and I just was like talking at the registration table and walked away, grabbed some coffee, turned around, saw a little opening in this group. And I just walked in and we all introduced ourselves. And now I'm great friends with these guys, and we have a writers group. And one of them snuck into my short film screening to catch my short film right as it started, and then had to leave to go to some networking event. But he told me about it, and he told me like, "Oh my God, man, I was crying. It's like so good." It's those types of things. And I met him maybe 2 hours before that. So you never really know who you're going to meet. And so I think just just being open to those possibilities of who you're going to meet, and having that intention too of just kind of stepping outside your comfort zone, but knowing too how to navigate your own space. Approach people if they seem like there is an opening in that group, if they're at a table. If somebody's kind of looks a little closed off, maybe don't approach them. They might be having a moment to just kind of sit by themselves. Lulu mentioned sending emails right off the bat. That's a great way to do it because film festivals, you're running around from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. You're going from movie to movie and party to party. And so it can be hard sometimes to remember, oh my gosh, who did I talk to? I talked to this person about their documentary and this person about sci-fi movie, but which one's which? And you don't want to email one person about sci-fi when they're actually a documentary filmmaker. So one thing I've started to do is I have a little notepad I'll just keep in my pocket. And when I have a moment and I'm sitting down at a movie, I'll write in, all right, I met Steven. We talked about his documentary. It's playing here. Or I'll write a little note about what else we talked about just so that I have that to refer back to. Because that's important too. When you follow up with somebody, you want to follow up on what you did talk about. Even if it is just hey, it was really great to meet you. Good luck on the rest of your project and festival run, and looking forward to what else you do. Like sometimes it's just that, but that's all you need sometimes. So, I think again, just kind of going back to what I said first is just think of networking just without the capital N. Take that pressure off yourself and open yourself up to the possibility of who you're going to meet and when you're going to meet them, because you just never really know.
Yeah, it's a really, really good point. And to be honest, it's one of my favorite parts about the festival. It's just the moments of magic that happen when you just open yourself up to who you meet, who approaches you, who asks about you and your work, and just roll with it. And you really never know like what relationships form from there, I'm going to go to some of the questions we've got in the comments. And it looks like I see shouts to Stephen Nolly. Speaking of festival friends, he's saying Driscoll Bar. I met Stephen a few years back at AFF. And again, Driscoll Bar is a very popular destination for, just to meet people, just to hang out, have a drink, decompress, eat. They've got great truffle popcorn. But yeah, man, you meet so many people that you just, and not everybody's good at networking. Not everybody's a people person. But I think the key is kind of just letting down your defenses and being respectful, right? Queen Vivian wants to know, how are you using the festival to leverage your brand or your work as an artist? If you're going in as, I guess, a writer or as a writer or director. What about you, Lulu? How are you using the festival to leverage yourself or your work as an artist?
Well, you know what? It does really help when you submit to film festivals, because then you get the laurel you could put on your poster. And also, I mean, I'll be really honest with you. During pandemic, I was submitting one of my films to the online film festivals overseas, several of them. And the fact that I won Best Comedy in Japan, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I was very thankful. But then I started accruing that. So then people would look me up like on my website or would see that. And that helped out. That helped me out a lot. Whatever it is, it just helps out to have a poster with all the laurels, because it's like, I know I'm drawn to like, oh my gosh, just things like that. Like, I know I'm going to be going to Atlanta because I got into the Peachtree International Film Festival. And I was really happy about that, because when I was in Atlanta the first time, I prayed like, I want to come back to Atlanta and I hope I come to a film festival, and to see this again manifest, come to fruition. It's amazing. But it really does help out, because then, honestly, when you're at your lowest, you just don't know, like you keep going, you don't know which names are being mentioned in the rooms. I met a buddy in Atlanta, my other friends, and he was pitching to Will Packer. He was pitching to Ray Now. He was pitching to Adu Brothers. He kept bringing up my name. I got to take a picture for Lulu. So it was just amazing that he didn't have to, oh my gosh. And he would give us information. guys, I just pitched to Packer, guys. But it was great because we used that. And, you know, Mace, get down to the question. It's like you just keep pushing, you keep going, you walk in faith, not in fear. And, you know, it's amazing. But that's how the film festival has helped me out. And I got picked up on a short as a second. I was a PA. They're like, wait, we already seen your film festival, awards. So I got bumped to second AD. But it was me just trying to I want to be part of your film. It's low budget. I mean, I don't care. I want experience. I believe in your vision. I want to work with you. And I ended up being a second AD on a short. And it's just, again, because of those film festival accolades and awards and just, that helped me out.
You're muted, Steven.
Thank you. Trying to cough off screen here. I've got a question here for you, Andy. They want to know if there are any tips for getting a low-budget film like feature with no names considered by festival screeners. Are there any ways to be sure festivals are actually viewing the entire film?
Yeah, so like one thing that we do in particular here at Austin is, we focus on story. It's not necessarily about what kind of polish does your film have. It really is at the heart of it. What's the story you're telling, and how are you telling that story? Because that's what we look at first and foremost. So we do have a lot of films that are from first-time feature filmmakers. We have a whole block of shorts from student filmmakers. We have a lot of initiatives, including like the one we have with Blackmagic, where we partner with them to help lift up voices from up-and-coming filmmakers. So there are so many movies made and that go places that don't have a budget. And, there's that myth of like, you need names, you need $5 million, you need an 8K camera and a speeding car to make a great film. It's like, no, you just need a good story. So I would just say, spend as much time as you can working that story, and then building your team with people that know that story and that lift you up too. Because when you're making a movie, it's a laborious process and it's long days and it can get very hard. So you want to be working with a team that is focused on telling the best story that you can. And then your second question was, how's it getting viewed by screeners? So that's the thing. When you send your film to festivals like Austin and other places, we all have like little databases where we track our films, and so you can ensure that your film's being screened by also emailing the programmers. Just sending like, hey, just like you can introduce yourself a little bit, send any updates about your film. If it's a final cut, if it's a rough cut, that's good to mention. If it's premiered somewhere, that's always cool because that's like, oh, okay, cool. It is showing places. We like to see that other films, are playing elsewhere because it's just really cool to see that even if we haven't, selected it yet, it's somebody else's. And like, that's great. That's great. We want that for everybody. We want these films to be seen. So I say, those are the kind of couple things to really think about. Story first and foremost. Make sure like that's what you're telling. And then feel free to just send off a quick email introducing yourself and your film, and that like puts it on our radar too.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Jay-Z says that I'm learning film composing myself. I don't have work to show yet. Can I still go to a film festival without a film that I've composed? If yes, how to make the best of it? And I'll kick it to John because I know John has gone. He's built up a lot of things now, but from what I remember, I don't think John had anything made just yet when he first went to Atlanta, correct?
Yeah, you're correct about that. I would definitely say still go because going to that festival you can meet the person who can offer you that first opportunity to work as a film composer, especially because film composers are like few and far between, I guess. I don't feel like I typically see them out and about. I feel like I don't come across them often. So I feel like I remember like the 3 or 4 film composers that I've met like at film festivals or just at networking events. And they're definitely like a valuable asset to have on a filmmaking team. So I would definitely go to go to one if I were you. And I would also, if you can, like, try to put together a, like, it doesn't have to be a fully published like short film that you've worked on a whole team with. Put together a short little video and add some music to it. That really embodies like your style, your aesthetic, and who you are as an artist. And you can do that with your iPhone. The important thing is just having just even that little bit to show what you can do, or to start the conversation, and to intrigue someone.
That's a good point. Kayla was saying that there's it was a great tip to bring it back to Andy's point of taking notes. If you're getting people's numbers directly in your phone, write in the contact those notes, what they do, where they met them, dates, etc. So this actually is one of the topics I want to bring up, which is festival hacks, right? Like after you've gone to enough of them, you start to develop little tricks and tips of your own that help you navigate easier, better, more efficiently, whether it's the panels, the people you meet, the parties, events, whatever, right? One of the ones I would always tell people when I was director of the script competition at AFF was to, like, in one sense, business cards are dead for a lot of people, but at film festivals and conferences, they're still really, really handy because you meet so many people so quickly that a lot of times you're not able to write down somebody's Instagram or write down what their name or what they do or whatever. So I would tell people to still bring business cards, but one of my hacks is to make sure if you can, have a picture or drawing of your face on the card, because what happens so often is that you'll meet groups of people sometimes at once, right? 5 people, 10 people at once. Everybody's happy and gregarious and get to know each other. You're writing information down, but you're scrambling to take a picture of their badge with your camera, but then you may still not remember what it was that you talked about, what they do. So when you're handing business cards to people, I think it helps a lot to put a face to the name, and then along with all your personal information on there, they can then reach out to you with later, right? I've seen it make a world of a difference, because there's times when you get cards, you've got a stack of 20 of them, and you don't remember who is what or what you talked about with the person on that card, and you start to get confused. And that's where you make some of the mistakes, like Andy was saying earlier, about emailing somebody about a documentary when you were actually talking about animation or whatever, right? So do you guys have any other festival hacks that you have learned to adopt and abide by in your experience? And I'll just let anybody speak up with this one. I'm just gonna pick some out. Go for it, Andy.
Go ahead, Lulu.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think when I go to film festivals, I get so excited to be around other creatives and other people like me. I take pictures with people. Like, oh my gosh, can we take a picture? And then I'll take a picture of the business card because that helps me. Oh my gosh, what's your Instagram? It should be in the card, but that's how I do it because I have a pretty good memory of who's who. But like you said, you get all of these cards, and because I learned that in Austin. Get all these cards. I'm like, who's who? I mean, Atlanta, I had these cards. I'm like, I don't know who's who the first day. And then I'm like, I gotta take pictures. I gotta just, follow them and do the emails. That's what I did because honestly, Atlanta had like 3,000 attendees. Austin had 5,000. And it was just like, I remember like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. I remember I saw Steven. I'm like, I don't know anyone here. I'm overwhelmed. I'm having anxiety. It's like 5,000 people. And then I was just like, I got to let it go. And I just walked and, so yeah, that's what I do just to remember who's who.
Nice. What were you going to say, Andy?
It was just kind of like scheduling. Think about your schedule. Think about what you want. Like festivals announce programs weeks before you actually go. So definitely spend a little bit of time looking at the program and kind of like what films you might want to see. Try and look up if who's attending. That's maybe more incentive to see a film. Like if you want to make horror movies and there's some cool horror films playing, and so like you probably might want to go to those and try and connect with those filmmakers, with those producers. But like with that too, also it's a marathon. It's like a marathon that's packed into 3 days.
Yeah.
So don't forget to just give yourself some time to take care of yourself, because you might have seen 3 movies by the time it's 1 p.m., but you haven't eaten breakfast in 6:30. So make sure that like, you may really want to see something at 1:15, but give yourself that break. Go to the burger joint next door, go to the coffee shop next door, because also, who's going to be there? Other filmmakers. And that's how you meet people. You just sit at a table like, hey, can I join you over this coffee? And then you start talking to those people. And that's a great way to also just kind of go with the flow. And when you let yourself have that break, you can still end up meeting people and networking, and also just hydrating. Hydrate.
Yeah.
It's a big thing.
Festival, not a race, right? And so check your swag bags, because sometimes there are like, energy bars or whatever, or water bottles or whatever. And you get caught up so quickly that frequently people forget to eat and to hydrate, even if it's just something small. So take a breather to do it. What about you, John? I know you've got some festival hacks.
Yeah, I guess a couple. I think one that's helpful is like to be very intentional with your interactions to offer something. And even if you're just a beginner and you may think that you don't have anything to offer, realize like just offering like kindness, like a good conversation, like feedback on people's ideas, and like enthusiasm and energy, or like any kind of support, like if you genuinely have interest in them. These are all like valuable things. And I think when you do that with like sincerity, right, and you're having like a genuine interaction, those things stick out, and those are really like the people who can help become part of your tribe. So I'm always intentional about just seeing who I can connect people with, what resources I can offer them, who can I introduce them to, anything like that. Especially if there's like that genuine spark of interest in a person, and the connection that we have. And then one other thing I would say is like, try to have a goal. And I think like what Andy was saying really like alludes to that really well. Because, if your goal is like, hey, I want to collaborate with another producer to help me make this horror, then like that should inform like how you go about navigating the festival. Like, okay, I see there's these horror shorts playing, like I'm gonna go to these horror shorts like block right here, see which ones really stick out to me or like align with me, and then I'm gonna go meet them after the thing, or maybe try to catch them at an event or something. Maybe if you're a actor or whatever, and you're trying to like build your audience or whatever, right? Get your Instagram following up so that, oh, hey, I'm on screen now. Get your Instagram following up so that producers will be more enticed to hire you because you have a nice following. Then like, that means, you should be at like all the parties, connecting with as many people as possible, having your card ready with your face on it and your Instagram information, and like following up with people on those social media platforms and doing that, right? If you're a writer and you're trying to, get a script sold, then, that should inform what panels you're going to, right? And like maybe what scripts or movies that you watch that may be related to the kind of script that you want to get sold and that you want to write, so that you can maybe connect with those filmmakers, maybe learn from them about how they went about their process and things like that. So really be intentional about like what you want to get out of the festival, and like build your navigation around that.
I love that. It's really good points. Looks like we're winding down here. I want to give a shout out to Magdi from Egypt, who's popped into the chat too. My final question for you all is, what are there any must do's during the festival or the conference that you guys recommend everybody has to do regardless, like of which festival or conference you're at? Like, is there any must do's for you at least? And let's kick it with Lulu.
I definitely do think a must do is reach out to people, ask for cards. Honestly, I mean, it's talk to people. Don't be afraid. You make great friends. Like I met John, I met Steven there, just talking about, it was just building a relation. Like, hey, what are you guys doing? Want to go have, just like John said, having lunch, just building those genuine relationships. And that's what I would do. Don't be afraid. Just remember, we walk with, we're gifted, we're amazing. You walk with that and just let your shine. And by meeting other, and your energy will draw people towards you. That's how you network. You hear that, people. Just don't be afraid to talk to people. You don't know if that person's also quiet. Sometimes we're introverts, but don't be afraid. Everyone, you meet great people, and just don't be afraid. Just go and shine and build those relationships and support each other more than anything.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. How about you, John?
Yeah, that was definitely the first thing I thought about when Lulu said, like, exchange contact people. You can't leave there without new person's contact. But I think what I would say beyond that is one thing you must do is ask questions. One of the things that helps make a genuine connection is like curiosity, and like resonating with the answers that you get from like exploring that curiosity, right? And so your interactions will go a lot better with people if you're not just like talking about yourself the whole time and just being like, hey, like read the script of mine, do this, and that, and just you have to really find out who people are, what their interests are, what their passion are, what their values are, what their hobbies are, and like build connections based off of that. And then also too, questions will help you learn. So if someone is doing something that like you're trying to get more involved with, or like if they have some kind of skill set or knowledge, like don't be afraid to just ask them like, hey, how did you do this, or like what advice you have for that, or like I'm facing this problem with my script, what would you do with a similar problem? Like ask as many questions as you can. Yes, ask questions.
How about you, Andy? Your must-dos?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of the same as Lulu and John here, and kind of a lot of what we're talking about is just also just talking to people. I've been to festivals where I maybe talked to a few people, watched a lot of movies, good time. But the festivals that really stuck with me are the ones where I made honest connections with people. And one way I did that was stepping away from the festival, grabbing a drink kind of off campus, so to speak. Going to just somewhere else that's not necessarily tied to the festival, just kind of putting your distance away from that, and just have a conversation, hang out as just two friends chatting in a bar, chatting over coffee. Because that's really where my relationships with these new filmmaker friends have come from. Is we're sitting at a bar and we're talking, and then people are singing at the bar, and then so all of a sudden we're singing at the bar, and it's like that's the thing we're going to remember. We're not going to remember everything else, but that's what we're going to remember. We're going to remember that moment. And that's when, after that is where, hey, I have a script. Can you take a look? That's where that answer becomes a yes. It's not, hey, I'm Andy, I made this film. Can you look at my script? That's like, okay, yeah, sure. Maybe shoot me an email. So don't be afraid to just step away from the festival with a friend, with a couple friends, and just kind of enjoy each other's company. And that's how you really get to meet people and form those connections. And that's what's going to make a festival a memorable experience for you and make you want to go back to that festival.
Yeah, love it. I will say my number one must do is basically what everyone here has said, which is the networking and the friendship. Like the whole reason you're there is to meet other filmmakers, other people of the same background in terms of interests and things that you're doing, which is you're all there to make films, right? To tell stories. And I think that this is definitely where you find your tribe, right? This is where you're going to meet those people that later on become your the people that are reading your scripts and watching your films and name dropping you when they're in the room with executives and helping you raise money and things like that. So go into it with an open mind and open heart, just to meet other friends that you'll be able to, like form a real bond with later. And then my second one, I would say, because you guys have already done a great job explaining how that, the deeper aspects of that. My second one, I would say, is to kind of step outside of your comfort zone and to do the things that you either have never heard of, but you're just not seeing, or the things that you have not done yet. So go to the pitch competitions, go to the round tables, go to the meet and greets if there are any. Do those type of things, because you'll see how you'll meet other people, but you'll also learn other aspects of the festival and conference life that you may not have seen before. And I've seen a lot of moments of magic happen in those situations. I've been to pitch competitions where very influential screenwriters have stopped people mid-pitch to ask for their script and their business card. I've been to roundtables where people form like actual relationships with the people there, offering and it's not, don't go into it expecting anything. Just go into it with an open mind and be willing to say yes when opportunities arise. That's all I can say. So with that, I think it is time for us to wrap. I do want to thank our guests again, the fabulous Lulu Valencia, the inimitable John Broadway, and the incredible Andy Volk. And you guys, I really appreciate you coming out with us today. And thank you for everything that you've told us and all the advice you've given us. And it is time for us to say goodbye. I'm going to wrap it up by closing out with a few things. Our next event will be coming to you from the Atlanta, Georgia chapter, and it will be next Wednesday, September 28th, on Acting in Atlanta. And Austin locals, remember to attend the Austin Film Festival at the end of this month. The end of next month, October. If you can, make sure to go see who wins the new award that we have created with them this year. Keep an eye out for the October newsletter for all events, initiative application announcements, our film festival info, and all other happenings at BMC. Remember to submit your 20-minute and less short films to the Blackmagic Collective Film Festival, as the deadline is October 1st, coming up very soon. We have amazing prizes, new categories, and gorgeous new awards this year for our winners. You can submit on Film Freeway or find the link on our website. Like and follow our socials to get updates. Join our private FB group, where we encourage you to keep the conversation going. And thanks as always to our sponsors, Blackmagic Design and Sigma. And thank you all for tuning in with us, and we will see you next time. Later.